Here we go.
See, I don't know Zoom, so.
All right. It's real easy. You just follow my expert technical leadership and you'll be fine.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So you are in trouble. So I am here with Alex Spaziani, and I've known Alex for a few years, and I usually have the people I'm talking to give a little introduction, but I'm going to break that rule because I want to introduce you a little bit because you and I have a very unique history. So you and I worked for a company a few years ago. I won't say what the company was, just in case we want to talk trash about them later. And you lived in North Carolina and I lived in Delaware, and I reported directly to you. And you would come up to the Northeast and we would travel together, and we spent a lot of windshield time, and we started to talk and everything, and we realized a couple things. First of all, you lived in a very tiny town called Sydney that was about 1.5 miles from where I lived in Sydney.
Correct.
And then we started talking in the electronics business, and you were one of our biggest customers. In fact, I didn't have your account, but I guarantee you that you and I spilled beer on each other more than once at many of the golf outings for that industry.
I like that. Yes. Yes.
So we can't, you and I can't put our finger on a time when we both shook each other's hand, but we know we were in the same room multiple times. So
yes.
I want to talk about that.
Yes.
And I want to talk about, you have a very interesting story. So now I'm going to hand it over to you. And I want to talk, you've been married to your beautiful wife now for 411 years, right? I mean, how long?
47 years.
47 years. How
Yes.
old were you? And how
I've been
old was
married to
she?
Debbie 47 years. Debbie and I were both 18 years old when we got married. It was 1973.
Wow.
It was a funny thing. I had joined the Marines in 1973, and my wife said, my girlfriend at that point, "You're not going away unless we're married." So I said, all right. In fact, she proposed to me. Let's get that straight. She proposed to me. So in November of 1973, November 3rd, we got married. On November 7th,
you were already out of boot
I was
camp.
at Parris Island.
You were an official Marine by then.
No.
No.
I did in June, I joined, but I didn't leave till November 7th. Okay. So on November 3rd, we got married. 4 days later, I was in boot camp.
Wow.
You got to love it.
Now, you were in boot camp, and then after boot camp, you went to a base where your wife was.
I went to Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
No, she was not with me.
Okay.
I had to go to school at Camp Lejeune, a place called, at Lejeune, there's a training school called Courthouse Bay. Mm-hmm. And I went to Courthouse Bay for 3 months of training for generators, systems, high wire, high power training. I was there for going on 3 months. And so at the end of the school, we were all supposed to go to Vietnam. I remember that, but I happened to finish in the top 10 of my class. So the colonel called the top 10 of us into his office, and he said, okay, you 10 have a choice. You can go to Vietnam or wherever you want to go. And I said, I'm staying right here. Now, Debbie, of course, the last 2 weeks had come down to Camp Lejeune because she thought I was being shipped out.
Right.
You know, sorry. So we were at Lejeune through, into 75. So I worked with the 2nd Marine Division, 2nd Engineering Battalion, primarily high line work in generator systems. That was my MOS, my military occupational skill. So electrical. So
and was Debbie there? When did Debbie join you?
She joined me at the end of school, at the end of my
Okay.
school, the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So she stayed with me at Camp Lejeune, um, probably till I was shipped out to Puerto Rico in June or July of 75.
And as far as you knew, you're not going to Vietnam. You're going to stay there, going to play with generators, and
Yeah,
that was a lie.
that was
That was a total lie.
no, well, not exactly. Well, the Marines were always on alert. So in '74, I remember there was one alert. You know, we all got our packs and our rifles, and we went to the tarmac. I kissed my wife goodbye, and I said, "I'll let you know when I get back." A couple weeks later, I get home. Didn't do anything. Just got on a ship somewhere. I don't know where we were because they don't tell you anything. Then in '75, it was getting hot. You know, that's the end of the Vietnam War. Things were getting hot. You had the Marines in Vietnam, but in 1975, I think twice, I got taken. I got taken. I got moved, come back. The last time was the bug out. The last time I was TAD, which is temporary assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing, kissed Debbie goodbye. It was end of April. I kissed Debbie goodbye. I was Lance Corporal by then. And I was told, you know, get on a plane. I think we went to the Philippines. From the Philippines, we were on ship. And I didn't think again, ever, I didn't think anything was going to happen again. I thought, okay, I'm going to sit on ship.
Right.
Now, I don't think people understand. People just think it's a few hundred Marines around Saigon. The task force was huge. I mean, there must have been battalion size, Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines. We were everywhere. I got on a helicopter, and they took me to Tan Snook Air Base, dropped my ass off, and the generator was a PU-703, 2 of them, that you have to keep them running. And that was late on the 28th, really late, because the 28th, the air base had been attacked.
Now you're in Vietnam at the time.
Yeah, they dropped us off. Yeah.
And is this the time that you told me that Debbie didn't even really know where you were going, just that you were leaving?
No, she had no idea. This was again where, you know, things are so different now compared to then. We had orders, or I had orders. My gunnery sergeant came to me and said, you need to report to the air base. You're going out. You're going to get on a ship again and do your thing. So I kissed my wife goodbye. She tried to drive out to the, at Camp Lejeune, Cherry Point. She was trying to drive out to find me, but she couldn't find me. So I'm just gone. I can't communicate to her. You're not writing at this point.
There's no Skype. There's no phone calls. There's no nothing. Right.
No, there's nothing. She just knows with the other Marine wives, she knows that I'm gone. She had a pretty good clue where I was going.
Right.
But because, you know, everybody at Camp Lejeune, we're all talking about the end of Vietnam. We're all talking because the Marines are doing the pullout. So it was late, really late on the 28th. I had a box of sea rats, myself and another Lance Corporal, and we ran these generators at the air base. Stuff's going on. Now, you gotta understand, I'm not stationed there. I don't know what's going on. All I know is I'm told, just keep the equipment running. So you'd switch generators on and off as you run low on fuel in this one, you turn the other one on.
And these are like diesel generators, like
huge diesel generators, huge. And they were powering stuff around the place because it had been bombed that day. So we were there late through the 28th, the 29th. We were there, and then early morning on the 30th, and I'm going to say AM. We're in AM. I wasn't even there 48 hours. We're gone. We're literally picked up and shut everything down, left the
Now
equipment.
you described this to me one time, and you basically said, you know, you described it as if you could see or at least feel, you know, the world was coming down on you, right?
Oh,
The
hell
world
yeah.
was getting closer.
Yeah, I didn't, again, I'm a 19-year-old Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps. We're all killers at that point. We think we are.
Right.
But yeah, there's stuff going on all around me. There's helicopters, there's other Marines, there's Air Force, everybody, the stuff is moving everywhere. Now you gotta remember, the embassy was the main hub where everything was going on. And the main Marines force was over there trying to get people out as well as we were trying to get people out. I wasn't involved in that. Again, I was strictly standing by the generators, keeping things running.
Your job was to keep the power on.
Yeah, and now there's other power, there's something, but I guess what I want to say to you and everybody else, you don't realize noise, there's explosions, there's stuff going on between helicopters flying everything, personnel everywhere. You hear off in the distance explosions, and you don't know what's going on. I mean, nobody tells us. We're not supposed to know. So, as I said, I was there less than 40. At the time, you'd almost say pretty scared. But we were surrounded by other troops. I mean, everybody was scrambling. Picked up, shut everything down, back at ship. People were being transferred to the Philippines as well as Guam. There's a lot of ships out there. A lot of people don't understand that. There's a whole task force out there. So we did our job. Myself and some of the last group, I'm trying to remember his name. And I'm not even too sure why I was assigned to this. There was no reason for me to be there. But maybe it was because Air Force personnel were doing something else and they needed somebody to run the generators. I don't know.
Now, those famous videos and famous films of the last days of Vietnam, where you see civilian Vietnamese jumping onto helicopters, were you there then? Were you
I was
in
there
country then?
Well, I'm careful about saying in country because I don't like to say I was in country. Yes, that was the bug out. What you see there in 1975, you see in the last days, the 27th, 28th, 29th, the 30th. Now, the 30th is the day that the North Vietnamese regular army come down the road and took care of everything.
Right.
By that morning of the 30th, and like I said, I'm already back at ship at that point. By that morning of the 30th, everybody's gone. We're all gone. All last Marines. In fact, I think we all know this because we were Marines. The last two people to die in Vietnam were two Marines. That I think it was a mortar shell hit them. But by probably 8, 9 o'clock that morning on the 30th, everybody's gone. So
you left them a bunch of generators and a bunch of diesel fuel.
Oh, we left. Oh my God, we left enough equipment to supply battalions. There was trucks. There was planes that weren't blown up. Things are just. We probably did. My generators were perfectly working fine. I mean,
right. They're probably running a school right now.
Yeah, they probably. I don't think so now. But we were. I mean, we're in full combat gear. I mean, I'm in there, my rifle and stuff. I didn't have anything like. All we had was rounds. I didn't have grenades or anything like that. We just had our M16, which we kept by the generator, and we slept off to the side. Wasn't a big deal, but it's hard to sleep when all this activity is going on.
Right.
And again, you're a 19-year-old kid. You're fired up. This is, what the hell's going on here? And you have to understand, when they dropped us off, nobody's talking to us.
Right.
We're like just over here, and then it's like at the last minute somebody says, it's like that Schwarzenegger thing, get on the chopper. That's all that happened. So in that 48 hours or less, you really need to talk to the Marines that were in combat, who were stationed there. My experience was chaos,
Yeah.
pure chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos at the base, chaos on the ship, people running all over the place. I'm not even too sure if anybody knew who was in charge at some points. I was just following an order. So
Yeah.
I got now by the time I got back, Debbie was packing up to leave. Because I told her if I didn't get back in a couple of weeks, she need to leave, But when I got back to base, she didn't know I was back at base yet. I got a ride home. That's when I walked in the door. Honey, I'm home.
So she said, take out the garbage and go water the lawn.
No, but she said, I didn't know where you were. And she said, were you off Vietnam? I said, yeah, that's exactly where we were again.
Right.
So,
and that it says something interesting about your character, because I've been with you when you've done this, and you just did it now. You are very careful, even modest, when you talk about Vietnam, that you do just what you said. You said, I wasn't in country. I was there for 3 or 4 days. This was my assignment. You're very respectful for those people that did it. Yet, historically speaking, if you had to drop somebody in for 2 or 3 days, those are pretty historically significant days.
Yeah, it was, but I was one little lance corporal with troops in and out continuously. Where'd you go? Oh, I'll get you back here in a second.
Yeah.
The Marines, I think, in Saigon, the ones that are at the embassy, I think they were taking shit. And I in Lejeune and other places, I was with Marines that were in country, had been there for a year or better.
Could you tell when you met a Marine that had been in country for you? Could you tell just by their demeanor, or by their just, you always see in the movies the guys that come back and they're hardened, and is that real, or is that a movie?
No, I don't. They're wiser. I'll put it that way. They're not going to take any of your bullshit. If we had sergeants or gunnery sergeants that were in country, in combat, not back at the base in the rear with the gear, these guys were war as hell.
Yeah.
You don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And you do what you have to do. You don't necessarily do it. I know they say God and country. You don't do it for God and country. You're doing it for the other Marines next to you. That's the only reason why you're fighting, because you're all going to die if you don't hold each other's hands. And there is no color in the service when you're there. I don't care if you're black, white, red, or green. There is no color. But yeah, the Marines who came back, I thought the guys were. You best show them respect. That's the best thing I can say to you, because they've seen some stuff that you shouldn't see. All right. I didn't see it. I heard it. I'm witnessing. I'm a witness to chaos. I can see if somebody was in a war, how chaos can envelop. And we were, I guess, organized chaos. And you're just doing one little thing that you're told to do while everybody else is doing their other things. So it is of, I don't even know how to explain it, but those people that were in combat, in country, it took something. It really took something. I can't even say that I can say now that I was probably scared, but right then and there, I was just the excitement, the adrenaline running through you is amazing. You're just hoping that nothing goes wrong. Yeah. So yeah, it was an exciting time.
You know, it's funny. You and I have had this conversation. My brother was in Vietnam, and he didn't talk about it at all.
Yes.
Until his funeral, when a lot of this stuff was revealed. But there was a couple little things that I never connected until then. And like when we would have big meals, Thanksgiving meals, he always sat with his back to a wall.
Yeah, I do
And I
that.
never connected that. I never ever could, because my mother had big bay windows, and he would never sit there. He would always sit against that
Oh yeah,
wall. Yeah.
yeah.
And the
It's
one funny and the one funny story he told me, and I think I shared with you too, is they were out on patrol or whatever it was, and there were these Latino guys that would find these peppers that grew wild. I remember telling you this. They're about the size of an eraser, and they would eat these like blackberries. You know, they would find these. And there was a guy from North Carolina that said, "I'm going to try myself one of these," and he ate it and started, and then he started grabbing his throat and yelling. And they grabbed the radio. They thought he was shot.
well,
And he's just going. They're going, where are they?
you need to know your limitations.
That's right.
So like I said, Debbie and I were together. I came back, and then I was offered another. Then I was transferred again.
So she's still on base, and you had to go where?
She was on base, but she went home. Now, this is later in the year. I think it was June or July. I was offered to go to either California or Puerto Rico. Well, I went to Puerto Rico. Campamento Garcia in Villegas, Puerto Rico. Now, here again, Marines don't take their wives. So I was stationed down there for a year in the little island of Villegas.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
hard.
Now, that's where my first daughter was born. And here again, to your viewers and listeners, you realize Stephanie was born. She was in Oneonta at the time. Maybe your people don't know where Oneonta's upstate New York.
Yep.
Okay. So she was born. Do you realize it took 2 weeks for me to find out?
And how did you find out?
My colonel, I came into the office, and the colonel called me to the side. He said, "I want you to know that you just had a baby girl." I said, "Thank you." Yeah, but it was like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I'd like to, call home, and I'd like to go home." He said, "Okay, you could take a couple weeks and go home." Now, here's another thing for your people listening, and we're only talking about the early years of my life. I'm now 20 years old now. Stephanie, is born. I can't just call home. If you're at a major base, you can call home. There's phone booths,
Mm-hmm.
you do the collect thing. In Camp Garcia, there are no phone booths. All we have is like on ship, Mars stations. So I had to take a Jeep. You had to make an appointment. You go on top of the Mars station. That's where the Navy personnel were. And you call home. And what they do, there's a gentleman like yourself sitting there in front of this big box. And you call home. Debbie answers. She goes, "Hello." And the guy will say to her, "You need to say over." She goes, "Over." He switches it so I can talk.
And he's listening to this entire conversation.
Oh yeah, he's listening to everything.
Right.
He's sitting only like 5 feet from me.
Right.
I mean, he's right there.
Right.
So I say, "Honey, I heard Stephanie was born. Da 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 da. I'm going to try to catch a plane out of Puerto Rico in a couple days. Here's my plans." Over. And the guy switches it over, and we talk for about 5 minutes. "I love you." Over.
Right.
"I love you."
I think that could possibly be the best job in the Marines, being able to be that guy. Yeah, people tell you that they love you all day long, and yeah.
Oh my God, it's horrible because they only give you so much time. The guy's looking at you, laughing his butt off, and he knows me. I mean, the guy knows me. At that time, I was a corporal, and he's laughing.
Did you use pet names and everything? "I'm coming home, bunny lashes."
No,
coming home, sugar lips.
No. I don't say anything. I'm not saying crap because that guy, of course, when you get off the phone, the guy the guy says to me, he knows who I am, but he says, Spuzzy, so you're going home, huh? You had a baby girl. Congratulations. And, that's it. And get the fuck out of here now. But you were limited in the amount of time that you could talk. I made sergeant down in Puerto Rico. I made sergeant meritoriously. That is given, meritorious is for above and beyond your work, and it's only given by an admiral. So I made sergeant down there. I made sergeant in under 3 years.
Wow.
So at the end of Puerto Rico, then we were transferred to 29 Palms. Then Debbie did go with me because I was a sergeant by then. So that was
So what year is this?
1976.
Okay.
Yeah. 1976.
So when did you leave the Marines and start your take advantage of your GI Bill?
Oh, in 1977, November 77.
So a year after
Yeah,
that.
I was stationed in 29 Palms for 1 year. Marines do 1 year stints. So I was called into the office. The gunny wanted me to know if I wanted to stay in or get out. I actually wanted to stay in. I was up for staff sergeant at that point. But I said, okay, I'm going to go home. If I find a job in the first week, I'm going to stay home, but I'll stay in the reserves or guard or whatever. And he says, okay, well, you contact me. Well, Everett, I got home and I remember, Debbie was with me. We drove home from 29 Palms, California, which is desert. It's desert, right. Marines don't go anywhere but either swamp or deserts.
Right.
They'll put us in nice places like Europe or whatever. We're always in some dump. But I went home and my father-in-law said, hey, Raymond Corporation is looking for electrical techs. I said, sure.
Now, for people that don't know, Raymond is a very big manufacturer of
I walk
forklifts.
into the electrical forklifts.
Yep.
I walked in the door, some lady's talking to me, some manager walks in, he says, you're hired. Now, you're going to love this. And he goes, but I'm going to pay you top pay. And so top pay, I'll get you back. Top pay, you know what top pay was in 1977? $3.72 an hour.
Ooh. Ooh.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I bought a house on $3.72 an hour. But I wanted to tell you, though, because your question was, did you use the GI Bill? Mm-hmm. Immediately. On the job training, I went to college while I was in the Marine Corps. I also need to tell you that I got my high school diploma while I was in the Marine Corps.
Wow, I didn't know
before. That. I quit school, right, to become a killer. Okay. But I got my high school diploma.
I think of the word killer. That's what I think of.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. It was either killer or mobster, one of the other.
Right.
Warrant Officer Allward, a great man, W4. He helped me. He got me my diploma, and then I started taking college courses, and then I got into Raymond Corporation, OJT. VA paid for everything. VA paid for Broome Community College. I went to SUNY Binghamton. I went to, paid for. Delhi Ag and Tech, paid for. So I spent, 5 years with the Raymond Corporation, and 1 year at a dealer. And and the whole time I'm going to school, off and on. I bought 2 homes through the VA at that time. So and we kind of, I worked for what was it, 1983. I went to work for a rep organization, and A&D Devices, and another 4 or 5 years, and did electronics, servo motor systems. Again, I'm going to school. I've got credits out my yin yang everywhere. I've got 2-year degree. They gave me a 2-year degree based on Marine Corps schooling, 2-year degree for basic stuff, the crap that everybody goes through. So then we decided, after 5 years of being with A&D Devices, we started our own business.
Now,
1990.
there's a connection there, right? You had a customer who said, I'm looking for someone to make this box or make this whatever, and you said, hey, I can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Asshole. I'm not supposed to swear on this hour. Hey, so it was
You're fine.
So at the end of 1989, Jeff Rutner was the owner of A&D Devices. He just didn't want to do it. He just wanted to be a rep. And I didn't like being a rep. I mean, it was okay. I was making great money. So the company is Pitney Bowes in Danbury, Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And who the hell? Gary Regan was the buyer. And he says to me, Alex, you know, I'm buying this from you, but can you find a company that can put everything together for me? I can just buy it as a package. Well, Gary, yes, I can. Yes, I can. It's like that Japanese. Oh, we could do that. And so I told Gary, yeah, I can do that. I started a company, right? You know, like a week later, AJS Controls.
And you had your family working for you, right? Then you were the first ones out of your garage.
Oh, yeah.
Your brother-in-law.
My first employee was Debbie.
Yep.
Debbie, my brother Mark, my in-laws, Debbie's mother, her father.
Right.
So we got this job. We bought our house. We got this job, and it was a hoot because I had to give a presentation and say to me, "Well, can you handle this high volume?" Yeah, I can do that. Do you have a warehouse? Yes, I have a warehouse. Okay, good. Well, we're going to give you the first
I'm not
order.
going to
So
Vietnam.
my warehouse, I laugh about this. No, I'm not going to Vietnam. But my warehouse was my shed out back. And I had a garage. So my garage became our workspace. So Debbie's mother and father would show up every day. I showed them how to crimp wires, how to put things together, how to test it. I would work through the night and stuff. We'd shipped out like every week a batch of motors and stuff. So I had Pitney Bowes. Then I got another small customer. Then I'd already been working, you know, with Raymond Corp. And I met with, his name was Fred Cronky at the Raymond Corp, a buyer. And he said, could you do this little PC board and everything? Am I running out of time?
Nope, you're good. You're good.
Oh,
just checking.
So he said, can you do this little PC board, you know, build it, put it in this little plastic cup, pour the encapsulation stuff. Sure, Fred, I can do that. So Fred meets me in Sydney. We have lunch. He said, I know you're working at your house. I said, no, I'm going to build a building, which we did the next year. He gave me my first big job. Raymond Corporation turned into a $6 million account per year sales. We were punching out product. And,
now, I want to stop you right there because I was in that industry, and not only in that industry, I was in that area. And I was,
yes.
I didn't have, and what AJS, what your company eventually became was, if not the biggest, one of the biggest in that entire area, because I compare it to other subcontractors, US Assemblies, Dovatron. You had how many employees?
110 at the end.
I think you might be the largest one there.
Yeah.
I don't think Dovatron was that big, but I could be wrong. But so I don't, anyone that's listening to this, I want them to be aware that what you come from Vietnam, which is a great story. Your Vietnam, that's a great story, says who you are. Then it's GI Bill, better yourself, be a family, great story. We'll put that over here. And then you started this business out of your garage that didn't become that. It became one of the largest subcontractors in the Triple Cities area.
Yes, we were rolling for 16 years. We did everything right. What I wanted.
Now, here's the fascinating part about this. Is around 2005, 6, around 2006, the bottom started to fall out of that industry.
Yeah.
You didn't sell your company till when?
2006.
You did sell in 2006.
Yeah, we got out. Yeah.
Okay, so you got out. So
I should say to you, by 2007, everything was wrapped up.
right.
Okay. 2006, 2005, 2006, the writing was on the wall.
But what's really interesting is 2005, 2006, 2007, there weren't many companies selling because there wasn't much to sell.
No,
They had
no.
tried to hold on. They were losing customers.
Yes.
I can think of the big ones there. They just closed the door.
They closed the doors.
So you had something to sell.
Yeah, the building was sold separately to who the hell? Some guy out of New Jersey. You know, but we owed money. You know, the banks were getting crazy too, ever at that time. You know, the banks were getting stupid, calling notes.
Right.
We want our money now. What are you talking about? Interest rates were going up. Customers were getting crazy. We want you to give rebates every year. I couldn't give you a rebate every year.
Right.
So we ran from 1990 to 2005. We did a lot in that time. We bought another company, Scientel America, which did wireless communication. We did the Big Island of Hawaii. We did a lot of smart, great things. I personally think I took my eye off the ball. I did get embezzled by a CFO I had.
I told you I was sorry.
But my lawyer said, you know, what are you going to do? You know, yeah, that, you know, the chip companies were a pain in butts to work with. In 2005, I went to China and negotiated a contract with the Chinese firm to help build my boards because it was getting too expensive. And that lasted through 2006. They did a good job. They built only Raymond boards, but you know, again, everybody wanted cost savings. Then I had customers. We weren't getting paid. You remember what you just said? People were closing. We weren't getting paid.
Yep.
Kenora Brake, an Austrian company, owed us like $250,000. We never got it. Never got it. The bank tried to sue them in 2007 or 8, and they didn't get anywhere. I didn't think they would, but we got out. I mean, I remember Debbie and I the fight it was too much of a fight anymore.
And just to go back a little bit to make sure that everyone understands this, you had this company, but Debbie was working with this company with you.
Yes, we owned the company. In fact, at the last 5 years, Debbie, CEO was Debbie. I was president. Right. So she was like that 51% thing because it had to be a woman-owned company because we were doing New York City Transit Authority. So they only wanted to work with women-owned businesses. Well, gotcha. There you go. But I want your people that are listening or viewing this, they need to understand that Debbie and I have been married again 47 years. We worked together. We started this company. Of course, my wife wasn't happy when I started it because I quit my job to start this. But we went to work every day together. She ran all of the operations. She ran operations. I ran sales and engineering. And she had manufacturing. She hated it when I got on the floor. Hated it when I jumped on the floor because I drove people crazy. Because you make a comment. I could say to somebody, why are you working on this today? I thought you were going to be working on that. I would leave the floor and they'd work on something else now. So you can't do that. I had great people. I found everybody work at the end.
I think that's important. When you did sell, you made sure that everybody had a home before you did that. And that's not easy with 100 employees.
No, it wasn't easy at all. We had companies for the last few months actually come into our building. You know where it is. They came into our building. They would sit down there for a whole day interviewing our employees, seeing what they're doing. So my production manager went to Amphenol. In fact, a few people went to Amphenol. Other people went to places in Greene or Walton or wherever. Everybody had work if they wanted it. So, as I said, Debbie and I were sitting at home, we're fighting with banks, we're fighting with customers. We basically said, that's enough. Enough's enough. And so we started the process. Now, if we had done this 3 years earlier, monetarily, it would have been a whole lot better.
Right.
But we didn't. So, I mean, I never thought I was actually going to close, shut down, whatever you want to call it, AJS. We kept the name, you know. I still got the name. It's active because nobody wanted to buy the name. Nobody wants the name because they're not AJS. So we did that by 2007. You said North Carolina. I live in South Carolina. South Carolina. By 2007, everything's done, right? You know, everything's actually at the end of 2006, everything's done. My eldest daughter moved to Florence, South Carolina with the first grandbaby. Christina, my youngest daughter, moved to Florence, South Carolina. And Debbie and I were sitting there going, well, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do? Well, I'm too young to retire. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. A company out of, what was that? Oh, a company out of Danbury, Connecticut. The owner called me up. He said, Kim Chuck, that's the name of the company. He said, why don't you come work for me, Alex? I'll pay you, you know, some six-figure, whatever, work for me. So I did for a couple months. I basically took his cash, and then I said, I don't want to do this. I can't work very well for somebody else. So we had this big-ass RV. So I went down to Florence, South Carolina, left Debbie up there, and we were going to sell the house. I thought we were going to go to Virginia, but Debbie wanted to go to South Carolina. So I bought a house down here in Florence, South Carolina. We sold our house up north. The day we moved down from there, it was a snowstorm, as always. We moved down here, and I bought a couple businesses. That was a mistake. Because
you bought a mail business, right?
No, Fast Signs. Fast signs.
Okay.
I bought 2 stores. Now, to your people that are listening again, you know, the market crashed in 2008, really, really bad. And I bought the stores in beginning of 2008. Nobody knew this was coming.
Right.
Well, by the time everything crashed, my Myrtle Beach store, we were owed, my God, I think over $500,000 from just people in Myrtle Beach owed us money.
Right.
So we shut them down. We bankrupted that company. But I was already working at a place called ESOB, which was automated welding systems, you know, plasma cutters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was still doing automation. You know, I was national sales manager, and I lasted there till 2010, till they crashed. I knew they were going to crash because I had to let go of all my employees. So I'm giving you a real quick blurb here.
And I want to stop you again, because one thing that I think is really interesting is you know, you met your wife at 17, 18, you got married, the Vietnam part, you were there, you started a business, she was right with you. You talk about when you and I used to travel, you talked about date night every week.
We still do it.
You have a date for 40 some years?
Oh yeah, date night, Friday nights.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, I think if I worked with my wife for 45 years, our date night would be in separate buildings. I don't think she'd want to see me.
Well, the last few years we've been separated because she was working for a company named Schaeffler over in Sherrill, South Carolina. Of course, I was working with those other people that you and I work for.
Yes.
You know, so, but yeah, every Friday night we still do it. We have our date night. Now, of course, we're kind of doing more lunches. But yeah, we even when we were at AGS Controls, we'd get together for lunch. We'd take off, go down to Bainbridge. There's a little diner down there. We go down to the diner and
there
have lunch.
There was a great buffet. What was the buffet in Bainbridge?
Jericho. Remember Jericho?
Oh my Lord, I still have dreams of that place.
Oh, that place had the greatest shrimp. But we used to go down there, have lunch. Toddy's was in Sydney. So we did all that. And then, as I said, I worked for ESOB here when I got down here. And then, of course, we met up with that last company, the green company.
Right.
You know, and I stayed there, what, 6 years?
Yeah, you were there a while.
6
Yeah.
years. Yeah, over 6 years.
So
You know?
what's the plan? I mean, you have a great story, and I wanted to talk to you not because it's a great story, but because there's moral nuggets in every single one. You know,
Oh, yeah.
the Vietnam thing just shows about, you know, your camaraderie and doing what you felt was right, and but then you took that and you built a business, but at the same time you met the right woman and you were dedicated to her. I mean,
Yeah.
every part of your story just slants into the next part, but
Yeah.
it's all connected. You know, I think if you never met Debbie, it would be a totally different story.
Oh, yeah. Totally different. We
Yeah.
were a team.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a thing too. People get married and you're not teams, you're not partners, you're not friends.
Right.
How could you marry somebody you're not even friends with? I mean, um, we did stuff together, probably more than others. And I don't think you would have to be married. I mean, we just worked well together. We still do. You know, I can't imagine being away from my wife. Although in the early years I was gone, of the first 4 years I was gone considerable. But we knew things we wanted to get done. You got to be persistent, tenacity, the will. That's a big thing. Will. Do you think you can do this? When we started HAS Controls, like I said, I quit A&D Devices. I had no money coming in. I just
Right.
told Debbie when I came home, I said, we can do this. I know we can. Well, we did it.
Right.
I've lost money. I've made money. Probably lost more than I made, but you know, but it's been an adventure from day one. You know, there's a lot in this story that I'm telling you. I mean, I finished my master's degree while I was with AJS
Yeah, I
Controls.
forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, I finished that. I mean, this was school over 20 years.
Yeah, and this is a kid who didn't have his high school degree when he joined the Marines.
No, no,
Wow.
not at all. I quit after the 10th grade because they pissed me off. I wasn't a good
Yeah.
student. Okay, I wasn't a good student, really wasn't. But I had some great, what do you want to call it? Mentors.
Yep.
I had some great people in the Marine Corps that I met the first couple of years that were backed me, said, you know, you can do this, you can be anything, you've shown you can do this, do it. And I helped people along the way as I went along. But yeah, our life story, it's we invented stuff. We made that flashing stop sign, which I don't know where that ever went. But we did a lot of things over the period of time, and we're still doing, you know, things now. Now it's the next great adventure. I don't know what we're going to do next, but you know, I'll figure out something.
Yeah, I can't see you sitting around in a rocking chair.
No, no, that ain't gonna
I
happen.
can't see it.
But we've got, you know, trips planned to your people that are listening to you. End of July was officially retired, or how do you want me to put that? I was.
Fishy, you retired from one part of your life, and you don't know what you're going to do next.
No, well, you got to remember at the in July, end of July, August, I had my knee done, and
Right.
you know, I had that replaced, and so here it is. The first half of the year, we've been busy, we've been staying busy, and now next year I'll find something else to do between trips, something part time. You know, I don't know if I want to do full time again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to travel the world again. So.
You know, I'm going to give you a couple of accolades because I've worked for a lot of people, and I worked for you. I reported directly to you. And the one trait that you have, and I don't know if it's from business. I don't know if it's from being a dedicated husband. I don't know if it's from the Marines, but you never said this. I just figured this out. You, I would get you into trouble a couple of times. And as long as you knew I wasn't lying to you, as long as I
Yes.
said, Alex, I did this, I did this, I did this, as long
Yeah.
as you knew, then it didn't matter. Then you would
Yeah.
go fix it. But
Yeah.
and you didn't say that. I just knew it. I knew the first time that I lied to you, then that any protection is over.
Yes.
And I took that very seriously. So I would sometimes, Alex, I screwed up. I did this, this, and this, and it should have gone this, this, and this. But I knew the one time I got you in trouble, the one time I put you in danger, that was it.
Yeah.
There was no protection left. And but what's funny is you never stated that. I just figured it out from working with you. So I don't know where that came from.
There was no reason for you to take a beating or any other of the troops that any of the other people why do you want to take a beating? You don't need to,
Right.
You were reporting to me. It's my responsibility. Somebody like Eric would have threw you to the wolves.
Right.
But I said no. And I had a good relationship with the company we were working for. Plus the fact I didn't take any BS when we were there. I pretty much said my mind if I wanted to, So, yeah, I mean, everybody made mistakes. You remember Hema and the rest of them. They all made mistakes, but no, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it, because you're just kind of yelled at for it. It serves no purpose. What's the point? There's no constructive criticism coming from the other end. So, yeah, as long as you did your job and you were honest with me and you took me to Italian restaurants, I was happy.
I still have that video of the guy with the accordion and the.
Oh, that was so good.
I'll have to resend that to you. That was in Long Island, I think.
Was it Long Island? Oh, that was
so
so much fun that night. I just couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh my God, what's going on here?"
So I'll end this story with my son's favorite story about you, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and every time I mention your name, he mentions this story. You and I think we were in Brooklyn, and we were at a White Castle. Do you remember? You remember where this is going? We were in a White Castle, and you're a very nice guy. You're a very friendly guy, except when you're bothered. So
yeah.
This homeless guy came out of it. You and I are sitting there, and you're talking and you're laughing and you're telling a story, and he comes over and, hey bud, how about me? And you turned on this guy in a dime and you go, get the F away from me. And this guy just stopped. This guy's, and his whole voice changed. Hey, sorry, I don't mean any no damage. Hey, sorry. It's like he pulled a cannon on the guy. And he went from, he's got his street slang, he's going to get in your face, he's going to stay there until you give him your money to, hey, my mistake. And that's my youngest son, Alex's favorite story.
Oh my God. I do remember that day. That was funny.
But it wasn't, let me look and analyze. Oh, okay, this is the type of reaction you need. It was instant. You were talking to me and then you just went, and the guy goes, ah!
It works, by the way.
It did work, but I couldn't pull that off. You've got to be able to pull that off. You got to have that ability. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a Marine thing or what it is.
It might be. You got to be able to attack.
You got to be able to back it up.
Plus the fact you had me in Brooklyn or wherever you had me, driving for hours trying to get out of that hellhole.
You're a city guy. You enjoy being in the city. You enjoy being in the Bronx and yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one place we went to where it was $100 to park your bicycle? Remember that?
You remember that?
Yeah.
Wow. I was just astounded. You got to pay money to park a bicycle?
Yeah, it was $100 a day to park your bicycle out in front of the building.
Yeah, we went upstairs in this warehouse.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
oh
Alex,
my God, that was funny.
This is great stuff. You're a fascinating guy. You've got a great story to tell. you've got an important story to tell, because it's just, there's a lot of dignity and honor there. And I mean, the big part is your marriage and your family. And
Oh, yeah.
I wanted for, for the 9 people that will be watching this, I wanted them to be able to hear your story, because I've impressed, and I never forgot it. I don't talk to you as much as I used to, but I've never forgot it,
Oh, I
and I
know.
wanted it. It's worth sharing.
Well, it's been fun. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you. Let me end this
All right.
recording here.
I don't know how to do that.
No, that's all
You
right.
do it.